I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
Yo, y'all saw the power rankings released. Let me tell you about them. Number 1, Bucks. Number 2, the Clippers. The 3, Lakers. 4, Raptors. 5, your Rockets, Ben. And the funny thing is, Vegas
Power
odds,
rankings based off what?
This is just ESPN's power rankings, but here are the odds, though. The odds for the Bucks for Vegas is plus 275. Clippers are coming in at plus 325. Lakers at plus 180. Then a huge drop off with the Raptors at plus 1700 and the Rockets at plus 1200. Anybody outside this top 5 power rankings you think has a chance at all?
The Celtics?
Celtics? So Celtics came in at 6 at plus 1500. You
Yeah,
think they're a
I don't
viable
think-
team to get this done?
I don't think the Celtics are too far behind. I think I'd put them above the Raptors and the Rockets maybe, but I actually like the Rockets. But outside of that top 5 or 6, no, I don't really see another team threatening. It depend maybe if Dallas, depending how they come back, might have a couple more months of rest. A
They're
fresh
sitting at
KP,
number 10, just so you know.
yeah, fresh KP and Luka maybe, but I wouldn't bet on it.
What
I
about you,
think
Ben?
the only-
Anybody outside the top 5 making some shine here?
I think it's just going to come down to whoever. I mean, it could be the Celtics, it could be the Heat, it could be the Sixers.
Heat, yeah, the Heat.
It's
I don't know about this.
personally, I think it's going to be the Heat, but pretty much whoever plays the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, you got to think that there's a lot of value there. You just got to pick the right team because all they got to do is beat the Bucks for, that 1 7-game series and they're in. And then again, the Bucks, they haven't proved that they could get by, or get to the championship. So
True.
I think I like the Heat, especially at 4,000. They have the highest odds out of everybody in that top 10.
Yeah, plus 4,000.
I like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. I like how defensive minded their team is and how they do have some scorers.
I just don't for the Heat. I don't know they have enough shooting to get there necessarily. That's
That would
probably
be
the
the
thing
thing.
that'll get me. Yeah,
Tyler here.
but I like them as a team definitely.
So looking at this top 10 list, do you put any value in any power rankings that ESPN releases, or is it just for fun when you see these things?
I mean the top is usually pretty accurate, but that it's pretty top heavy usually in the NBA, so it's not that hard. I guess it's when you get into the middle. Like for me, I mean I'd rather put the Celtics above the Raptors and the Rockets in a power ranking.
They
But
play each other twice in those 8 games before
Yeah.
the playoffs.
so that'll be pretty good. But I know we gave our picks when we first got the news about the NBA coming back, but.
Yeah.
I think depending who the Rockets catch in the second round, I think if the Rockets catch the Lakers instead of the Clippers in the second round, I think they might have a little chance of making a run. A fresh James Harden and a fresh Russell Westbrook will be pretty scary. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the West shakes out. Definitely.
That's definitely the matchup that I would want as a Rockets fan also, just because the Clippers have the guards to just match up with Russ and Harden better than the Lakers do.
Yep.
And it's kind of like 50-50 Clippers or Lakers. I would put either one. I would put both of them over the Bucks, to be honest, based on the power rankings. I think the Bucks should be third. So, but with the Rockets, matchup wise, like the Lakers would be able to use their height, right? But the
For sure.
Rockets would be able to use their speed and their shooting. And against the Clippers kind of can go small as well, with like Green at center or Montrezl Harrell at center, who can kind of move around. And then they got Paul George and Harden and Pat Bev on Harden and Westbrook. So they just match up the best. So that's the only reason I would like to see the Lakers in the second round, even though the Lakers do have the best odds to win the title, the lowest odds.
Out of the odds for the top 3, I'm a little
think
surprised the Clippers came in with the worst odds of those 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it should have been the Bucks, but
didn't the odds didn't they adjust quite dramatically after J.R. Smith signed with the Lakers. It was a little bit different, right? Than J.R. just swung the whole thing.
I think
That's
that
what
the
I was
Lakers
reading.
were third, and then they signed JR, and they dropped to the favorites based on his championship pedigree.
For sure. I wasn't making a joke at all.
I really didn't know the odds before. I wasn't looking at them. This is the first time I saw the odds, and I was like, wow, the Lakers odds are pretty good here. So that's pretty cool.
But the Lakers are the Sports Center and ESPN darlings. I mean, they were what the Warriors used to be, so you would expect.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are probably number one just because they finished the regular season or up until this point with the best record. So they got to give.
The Lakers had the
Nah,
best record.
I think the Bucks have the best record. I'm pretty sure by like 3 or 4 games. We can pull that up or check real quick just for sake of
But I
accuracy.
think the reason why the Bucks odds are that way is because they're just expected to come out of the East.
No,
Where
I'm just talking about the power rankings. The odds, I agree with you. It's just there's nobody else in the East, but the power rankings, as they stand, I think it's because they're the
let me double
best
check
record.
I really do think it was the Lakers, just because these assholes brag about it so much. Hold on.
the best record in the West. They're
Yeah,
the one
for sure.
seed.
I mean, in the West.
53 and 12. The Bucks 53 and 12. Yeah, the Lakers 49 and 14. Oh, the Lakers ain't winning shit then, bro. They're not. They don't even have the best record. I had it messed up the whole time.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll
People
see what
go-
happens. You know, we got to see.
But
But yeah,
some
the
plays
Bucks,
down.
they still got to do it though. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
They still
and
gotta
it's
do it.
that I was talking to somebody at work about that actually, and it was like, what do you think is going to have to happen? Or I forget who the hell I was talking about it with, but it was like Eric Bledsoe is going to have to be consistent.
Yeah, they're
order
going to need
for
the
Bucks,
consistent third
They're
scorer.
really going to need Eric Bledsoe, and well, Brogdon's with them as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Malcolm
tested
Brogdon.
positive for the Rona though,
Yeah.
but he said
But
he's still
that's a
planning
good
on
one
playing.
too, like Bledsoe at the 2 and Brogdon at the point. I really like that to spread it out for Giannis.
They still got Chris Middleton too. So,
Yeah, and then the Lopez twins, both of them are on the team. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They got both twins on there, and they're both can shoot it, man.
Yeah, well, Brooks having like a renaissance year or like a comeback year, just shooting the 3 ball is pretty crazy. I know he's added that to his game when he was there in Brooklyn, but it seemed like every time I'm looking, he's taking a 3 from way out there, like Curry range. He's taking.
Hey,
threes.
but he likes celebrating after he hits.
Yeah.
Them. He'll do some stupid shit.
I gotta ask, can you all tell the Lopez brothers apart? Like, you know who's who?
Yeah,
has
well, one
afro,
has
one
short
doesn't,
hair.
but that's-
Yeah,
Crazy hair. One has
Yeah.
a
the crazy hair.
I still to the day can't tell who's who. Like, I just know one. It's a Lopez brother, but I don't know their first
And
name.
one's just worse, bro. One's more defensive minded.
And then one wears 11, the other wears 42.
Oh, okay. I
Short
remember
play.
seeing them in Stanford, and I was like, man, these guys can ball.
They were fun to watch, dude.
Yeah, they were.
They're good in
Uh,
the
when they played.
that was
Texas
like
that
what-
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like what when you like play basketball in high school and stuff, and then you go on a traveling with your traveling team, and you play this one team from Austin or Dallas, and they have twins, right? And they just dominate, bro. it happens a lot. I remember that from back in the day.
Hey, well, you know something we gotta talk about. We gotta talk about this baseball contract in the NFL. Let me tell you a little details. Pat Mahomes, 10-year
I like
deal, upwards of $500 million, guaranteed money, $477 million. Has an insurance policy if he gets hurt, he'll still get paid 150 plus, and he has a no trade clause in there. Pretty much a chief for life at this point. Man, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. You gotta think about now. He set the record deal, richest sports contract for NFL. Then you also gotta think, what does this mean for Deshaun and Dak?
I think in sports.
It might be in sports. I mean, this is a baseball deal. I mean, 10-year deals in NFL. I've never heard of such a thing.
If anybody has a higher contract in sports, it would have to be Trout, right? Let me look at what Trout.
And I
Well,
believe
yeah,
he has
there's-
more
I
than
think
Trout. This is a
Trout
bigger deal than
broke the
Trout.
record for the MLB, and this is probably the most on like a per year basis. Also, just
does it round
doing the
up?
simple math, and the 477 million guaranteed is pretty freaking crazy. Just looking at it
80%
on
of the
paper,
contract.
you know, Mahomes getting locked down for 10 years. I like it. From kind of both perspectives, at least. I mean, Mahomes, you get your deal. You're by far the highest paid quarterback in the league right now. It's going to take something pretty crazy to usurp you at the top of the totem pole in terms of the per year salary. And then also, from the Chiefs perspective, I'm going to have to do more math on this just going forward and just to get my numbers correct on this. But, they're locking him in at, a pretty decent per year basis just on this, just looking at it, his percentage of the cap is going to stay stale, while the cap, tends to increase each year. They're not going to have to worry about, expending this money, down the line. It's already locked in. They can make their plans off of this deal going forward.
But how much percentage of the cap is it?
Oh man, right now it has to be greater than 25%. But I need to see what the per year thing is. Right now we just all know it's 10 for.
He's getting
500, 470.
51 million more than Mike Trout in 2 less years. So Mike Trout was 426.5 for 12 years.
What did he make this year? 1 million, less than $1 million?
He's going to get paid at least 40 a season on just a baseline deal. He's going to get paid at least 40. He was still on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
Probably about $1 million.
What I saw today, a funny tweet was Bobby Bonilla made more money than Mahomes did this year. And then there was like an update that says, oh, Mahomes has now made more money than Bobby Bonilla's career.
How quick that can change, right?
In a matter of days, he changed his tweet. Dude, man, this is unprecedented contract, 10 years.
So he has a built-in mechanism where his annual salary is never going to drop below certain thresholds. It's always going to be above a certain percentage of the cap. So yeah, and you never really see contracts this long in the NFL. I can't really think of another one. I think Michael Vick, didn't he do a 10-year, $100 million deal with the Falcons before he got caught up with that situation?
I think he might have.
We're not talking about. Yeah, I think that's what the deal was at the time, and I remember thinking about that as a kid. Like, wow, like freaking Mike Vick.
Mahomes is 26, 25. Mm-hmm. How old is he?
Shoot, he's about to be 25.
So he's 35.
Or no, he is 25. He is 25.
So 10 more years. I mean,
he's going to get another contract.
He might get another contract.
Yeah, because quarterbacks now they play up until their 40s.
Justin, I know you said pretty much making him a Chief for life, but I mean, who knows? Look at Aaron Rodgers, and we would have all thought he was going to be a Packer for life. At him being 35, the Chiefs after 10 years might just be ready to go another way. So maybe he could play 2-3 years for another team.
He was on a 4-year, $16.4 million contract. So he was making about $4 a year, something like that, just on a average.
So he got like a $450 million raise.
Deservingly so, man.
It's wild.
Deservingly so.
And speaking of that, though, like we say deservingly so, now everybody, I had a conversation with my buddy Joby today, and it's like, oh, great. Here we go. The Texans really screwed this one up. They should have signed Watson before this. Now Watson's going to want stupid money. And
it's going to raise his price
somebody said the
tag
same thing about Dak. They're like, oh, Dak's getting his 40 now for sure. But the thing that I say is, though, like, so when the players go to the table, I think that Watson will get 40 a year. But I think 40 a year for him will be all right. But when these players go to the table, wanting like $300 million, because nobody's going to make $400 million. This is unheard of, for football. This is not like how quarterbacks usually get paid, and the next guy to get paid beats them by a couple $1 million, and the next guy's always going to be the highest paid.
Yeah, he reset the market.
But he reset the market, but nobody's going to touch this either, Roland. Like it's a bar that I don't think is going to be reached by any of the quarterbacks.
Well, rightfully so, because he's the best quarterback in the league. I mean, that's why I need to your point, and I think I know where you're going with it, is like, yeah, you want to bring up Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time, like, if I'm Jerry and Stephen Jones, I'm also telling Dak, and I'm just not trying to be an ass, because I like Dak Prescott as a quarterback, but at the same time, you are not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
You're not number 15. Like, you don't do what Patrick Mahomes does on Sundays. Like, you guys just aren't the same player. So I'm sorry. Yeah, he's garnering this much money, but that's because he's at this certain standard above everybody else.
Show me your Rookie of the Year. Show me your MVP. Show me your Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl, exactly.
Show me your Super Bowl trophy. And then we'll pay you Patrick Mahomes money. Because if you do all of that for our team, you deserve it.
Yeah.
The same way Patrick Mahomes deserved his. But I know Deshaun already commented on or like retweeted Mahomes' post with like a happy face, because like he's next.
Yeah, he's next, though. But I think not Dak. I think Deshaun, he is up there, though. I think
it's not going to be a crazy deal like this.
It's not going to be.
It's going to be a 5-year deal. A 5-year.
He's going to be considered the number 2 quarterback in the NFL in terms of A-wise. So. Yeah, he
until Lamar Jackson has to get paid. I think that he'll be ahead of him.
Exactly. I think Watson's going to get there. But I've always said it for Dak, man. His barometer in terms of the contract should always have been, and it should till this day be, getting paid more than Jared Goff. And that's kind of where the Cowboys messed up. When the Cowboys didn't sign Dak, the Rams did, and paid him $33 a year pretty much. That became Dak's kind of number. Well, you got to pay me over this guy. And I think at 35, you're good. But, I mean, that's another man's money. I'm not going to talk about that. But
and here you see a guy with a 10-year deal, and Dak's fighting for his life for that 4-year deal. It's
that's
two complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
So just for all intents and purposes, do you think this makes this deal harder to get done for Dak now that Mahomes' money is this high?
Well, not so much the money, but I think it's the length. I think what Ben touched on with his last point, I think it's the length with Dak fighting for the shorter-term contract and then Mahomes signing a 10-year. I found the Cowboys, I'm like, why can't you do that? Or, like, why can't you sign something longer term? Look at what Mahomes just did.
Why can't you do 5 if he just did 10? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what the Cowboys are going to be telling him. It definitely doesn't help Dak's argument in that way. Let's see what the Texans sign Watson for. If they sign him for 5 or 6, he's definitely not going to get his 4-year deal.
Yeah. So I think the last thing, though, to touch on this, and you kind of want to use my most recent example is the Seattle Seahawks. And, they paid Russell Wilson. Like, they got their titles. They had their runs, their Super Bowl runs. They've been in the playoffs. They've been competitive. But their Super Bowl runs where they were the best team by far when preseason we're like, yeah, the Seahawks will be there. And they got there. Russell Wilson was on his rookie contract. They haven't won a Super Bowl, I don't think, since after they've paid him. I could be wrong on that.
No, I don't think they have.
Yeah.
The whole thing is,
I don't think they've been to. Yeah.
Do you think this changes anything for the Chiefs moving forward in terms of their success, since they have so much tied up in Patrick Mahomes now that they might not be able to build such a strong team around him anymore?
I'm gonna compare it to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and how they've still been able to have success. I'm pretty sure that they won a Super Bowl after Rodgers.
Teams are still successful. The Seahawks and the Packers are both.
Right, but the Packers are in NFC title games. Now, obviously they didn't win, but they're in those games, and we've been here saying and echoing that their roster, they don't really give Aaron Rodgers much help, but he's still able to put them where they are based on the quarterback takes your team as far as it's going to go.
That's
and
true.
Holmes is just going to take his team as far as it's going to go. They're going to keep drafting these young, fast receivers. Nicole Hardman's not going to be on a big deal. Maybe Travis Kelce will be gone because
Williams doesn't have a big deal.
Then they just drafted a running back as well. They just drafted a running back in the second. So Kelce might take that discount now that he knows they're going to be tearing it up with Mahomes there for the rest of his career. He could just be a Chief. And Tyreek Hill, the same, man. Nobody's going to throw the deep ball to Tyreek better than Mahomes does. So I think the Chiefs are going to be all right with Mahomes at quarterback. As far as them stalling out, he said today that he's chasing a dynasty now. So this contract definitely gives him the time to do it. We'll see what happens.
I got one last question then. This is just for fun. Out of the 10-year contract, how many years are they at the top as far as being competitive to make the Super Bowl?
If he's healthy, all 10.
Okay.
Yeah, if he's healthy, they'll probably be up there every year.
Because
I don't know if it's in the Super Bowl, but it's going to be
I was wondering.
Even when he gets to his mid-30s and he's not as mobile, bro, the guy has a cannon. So as long as he's healthy, he's going to be good.
I was just wondering. On the same side, I say 7 out of the 10 years, he's going to be up there.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a bad investment for the Chiefs. You got to pay.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They locked him in, and they already know what they're paying each year, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. And as much cap as it's going to take, or hit the ridiculousness of this contract, if they win 4 Super Bowls out of those 10 years, it's paid for, bro.
Oh,
And they're also going to be one of those teams that I think free agent veterans kind of are going to want to flock to towards the end of their careers, trying to get another run and
chase
something like
that
that.
ring,
And they're
you
going
know?
to fill their rosters like that, probably going forward too, a little
Yeah.
bit of the old Patriot way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Well, you know what this is. This is We Talking About Sports. This is episode number 12, guys. Man, 12. Yeah, that's what we're
Fight
talking
Island.
about. Hey, this is Fight Island week 2.
Episode
Fight Island
12,
podcast.
you remember to as the
Fight
Fight
Island
Island.
This is the one that we had an asterisk on for a while because we've been hyped about this one with the amount of fights and it being in Abu Dhabi and everything. So man, we're happy about this podcast. As you know, I'm Justin Martinez, this is Roland Zamora and Ben Diaz. Tell me about y'all's weeks, man. What was up this week?
Had a good week, man. Just been, like I said, the last podcast, been back working from home. Just trying to, stay productive as much as I can. Was keeping track of golf this week. We started, participating on Twitter with golf, giving out some picks. We did good on the round-by-round matchups. I think we went 7-1-1 on the round-by-rounds. We gave quite a bit back, though, on the tourney matchups. I didn't hit a single tourney matchup this week. So we ended up matchup-wise. Nah. I mean, I thought Nah was going to be one. I thought Nah and Simpson were for sure gonna cash, but Haddon had himself a day on Sunday, and he surpassed Webb Simpson, even though Simpson played pretty good the whole tournament. Nah was the other one that I thought was going to cash because the guy that he was going up against on day one put up a 4 over par, while Nah stayed even the whole round, but he gave it back the second round. They both ended up getting cut, but I think Sabatini ended up with a better record than Nah at the end of the day, which is crazy.
Roland, what happened was Nah pulled out.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I was keeping up with it because of your post on Twitter, and I was watching golf all weekend, and Nah, as terrible as he was playing, was still beating dude. But he was just so frustrated or hurt. I don't know what the hell. He didn't finish the 18. So due to him being disqualified, the other guy won.
Yeah, I was trying to keep up, but
that's brutal.
Well, by the time it was airing on TV, it wasn't live anymore. It was like the replay of the thing. And I was like, oh man, I want to see it live.
The third matchup got to get into this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ben? How's your week?
It was good, bro. Friday, I had my uncle in town from the Valley, my uncle in town from Buda, and we hosted a barbecue here at our house. It was just my uncles and their wives and me and Gabby. Usually they're the ones doing the barbecuing, but this time we switched it up and I barbecued. And then Saturday worked. I had to work on Saturday, 4th of July.
I got to say, at least 10 out of the 12 podcasts, you barbecued on the weekend.
Hey, bro, we don't go out.
It's a pretty good ratio.
It's a barbecue king, bro.
We don't go to restaurants. You got to sharpen up your skills in these times right now when you're forced to stay home.
I'm not mad about it. I'm just like, hey, that's cool, man. I wish I could barbecue that much.
Yeah. And then Saturday night, we ended up going to Matt's in San Antonio to pop some fireworks. Came home early, and then me and Roland went golfing early Sunday morning. At 10:30, we went golfing out in San Antonio. Damn, it was hot, bro.
Oh yeah, it was scorching, man. Oh my goodness.
We finished around 2:00, and by noon, it was beaming, bro. It was beaming. And yeah, back at work today, man. Battling the Rona at the hospital.
Yeah, it's tough. The numbers going up, man.
Yeah,
I had a good weekend. Ended up on July 4th barbecuing. I made some tri-tip ribs, chicken, and some ribeyes. But that tri-tip went hard, man. I don't know if you've had tri-tip before, but it's something else, man. I really
that looked
tri-tip.
good.
Yeah. I've never tried.
I'll send you some
I'm glad
pictures.
you brought back the grill, Justin. You need to start posting on Instagram again.
I need to. But yeah, man, I went hard on that. And yeah, it's been good. So anyway, let's get into some Rona update. You know, that's the update of the week. Let's find out what Roland's got to tell us.
So some pretty big news. I guess I'll start with the positive news. You know, the MLB, they had their first round of tests, and I think they had about 1.5% players test positive which is, you'll remember the NBA, they were closer to like 5 or 6% on their first round of tests. So definitely positive news for the MLB, although they have had some higher named or some big name players come out and say that they're still not completely comfortable with the whole idea of playing amidst the coronavirus. I think everybody here is familiar with Mike Trout. He came out and said that he's still not completely comfortable with playing this season, and that there is a possibility that he might not play. I still think he's going to play. He's there right now in their modified spring training. But there is a chance that he won't play. He is expecting a kid on the way, in the fall. So that could be part of the reason why he's singing about that as well.
That's also been stopping some. I know Garrett
Gordon
Temple,
Hayward,
right, in the NBA also, and Garrett Temple
Gordon
said
Hayward,
is
And
Gordon
Hayward was another
Hayward's gonna
kid.
play though, right?
Yeah, well, Hayward, he said that he's gonna leave to go see his kid. That he's gonna cross that bridge when they get there. So that is a big thing, with players wanting to leave these bubbles. They don't want to, be locked in there forever or for the duration of time that they're supposed to be. So, there's also been a lot of talk with the NBA and whether or not the players are actually going to follow the rules. Damon Lillard, he came out and said that he's like, nah, he's like, the players don't follow the rules when there's not a bubble. He's like, if you put a bubble on them, I guarantee you they're not going to follow it. So he wasn't so optimistic about it.
If they want the NBA season to go on, man, they're gonna have to.
Oh yeah, but I think Damon Lillard was just speaking as somebody who also doesn't really want to play. He was pretty vocal in the beginning, saying that he didn't think it was a good idea. So he was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't think these guys are gonna follow the rules. But the MLB, they were pretty positive with their whole first round of COVID testing. They actually came out with the schedule. The schedule is pretty interesting. Just go over it real quick. We'll spend more time on it once we get closer to the start of the MLB season. But there is going to be the universal DH for the 2020 season. So the NL will now have a DH. The pitcher will no longer be batting, so that'll be pretty good. There's a 3-batter minimum for pitchers. Now these are all rules that we were thinking about.
I like that.
Putting in prior to the start of the season, even before the coronavirus came, and I'm glad this one came, because if you've ever watched a baseball game for whatever reason, betting or your favorite team, and your team, they're staging a comeback, and then you get to the round of the lineup, and the opposing team, they just start switching pitchers like every single batter.
They start playing matchups.
Yeah, they start playing the matchups. So this guy can't hit a curve, or this guy can't hit a lefty, blah, blah, blah. But they'll do it after every single batter, and it drags the game on forever. So they're trying to speed it up.
They've been trying to do a lot to speed it up, too. Yeah. I mean, even the time between the catcher giving the pitcher the ball.
It's also going to help out with offense, too. You got to think that there's going to be a pitcher in there that's only in there. Well, you're going to have to be smarter about it. You're not going to be able to do those.
Coaching-wise, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that rule, man.
It's a whole other aspect.
And then the big change, I like it, but I don't know how you guys feel about it, is extra innings are going to start with the runner on second base now.
That's good for batters, right? I mean,
runner on second base.
And they're trying to speed it up, give you more excitement. It's kind of how hockey with overtime, they went to 3-on-3. Yeah. Like they're trying to spice it up. A lot of people, there's a lot of purists.
Almost a guaranteed run.
There's a lot of purists, bunt him over and then hit a sac fly. You got to think how many of these teams are just going to bunt him over right away.
They're already creating things for this.
And the home team is going to have a chance, though.
Joe Madden's already drawing some shift up to fucking combat this. But there's a lot of purists that are going to hate it because of how the game is, and it's the old time America's pastime, whatever.
Absolutely.
But then you have the other people who say that the MLB really hasn't done anything to catch up with the times or mix it up. And I think that this is doing something.
What if there's like overs will never die now? Overs will never die.
Especially with the DH all around, you got to think that takes those games up at least half a point in the totals. Yeah. Where in some of those you would see 6.5s whenever like Kershaw was pitching against Bumgarner.
There's going to be some bad underbeats too. I hope nobody bets on
them. Now with DH hitters, you got to think that's gonna bring overs back.
So then just to wrap it up, or just to wrap up the MLB talk, just real quick, just on the schedule. Each team is going to play 60 games. Obviously, that's been the big talk, but each team is going to play 10 games against each member of its division for a total of 40 games. There's about 5 teams in each division. And then the remaining 20 games are going to be interleague games based on geographic location. So AL Central is going to play the NL Central. NL West is going to play the AL West. So those are going to be the makeups of the 60 games. Is there any matchups that you guys are looking forward to with those interleague matchups?
Astros, Dodgers.
Astros Dodgers is the first one that came to mind for me. I can't wait to see that, especially since the Dodgers were part of the whole scandal, or they were on the other side of that scandal.
They were the good guys.
Yeah, they were the good guys in the whole thing.
Times too, against the Red Sox as well, right?
The Red Sox, yep. So that should be a pretty good matchup. And then the other one I'm looking forward to is probably Yankees versus the Nationals. I'm looking forward to that because I still have pretty high hopes for the Nationals.
Hope we could see a Cole and Scherzer matchup.
Yeah, but that's pretty crazy though. These interleague games though, they could potentially decide the playoffs because there's 20 of them. Every team has to do it, but who's to say like the NL Central is as strong as the NL West?
It's like in every sport. It's like in football where there's that weak division where all of you play against this division, you're going to get 3 out of 4 wins.
I really didn't think about that till you just mentioned it, honestly.
And in the same regard, the AL West is not historically a strong division, and the Astros have 40 games against them. So
against the Mariners, Oakland A's, Texas Rangers, and one more team.
Angels?
Angels, Rays, Mariners.
Yeah, Angels, A's, Rays.
Rays.
No, not the Rays. Angels, A's, the A's Athletics.
Angels. The A's. Mariners and Rangers.
There you go. Yeah, so that's
not a bad schedule. And Joey Gallo, I saw, just tested positive for Corona. For the Rangers. Dirty boy. Not a dirty guy.
I hope that he's all right, man.
Hope he's okay.
Crazy.
He's okay. So, that was the MLB. I know we talked a little bit about the NBA. Anything else? Yeah.
I know it had come out that the Clippers had shut down their facility, and
so the
Landry Shamet ended up
Bucks
testing.
And Kings, yep. So a couple of teams are shutting down their facilities because they have people testing positive in their travel party. Ben mentioned some players. It's not always been the players, but
dropping, baby.
people traveling.
That's ready.
But it just gives you a little bit of a pause for concern with all these guys testing positive. I heard some colleges, there's like an excerpt out there that there's some teams supposedly that are thinking of, hey, if our players get the coronavirus, and I'm not trying to joke on the coronavirus because it's very serious, people are dying, but
they wanted to get it now, right?
Exactly. They're saying, well, they get it now, like they're going to be all good by the time it's football season. So, they're looking at it as a competitive advantage, getting the coronavirus now and post it later. One topic that I did not have on here that I wanted to talk about, and, I just brought up a joke, but, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you do get the coronavirus, there are some after effects that are pretty resounding, or they're out there. You can find it anywhere, kind of what the after effects of somebody who's really had a case of the coronavirus. Your lungs supposedly are kind of never the same. You in some cases you can't smell, like Rudy Gobert is talking about. He still hasn't fully recovered.
Hey, Roland, as far as your lungs not being the same, is that for even asymptomatic people? Or is that just for people who really felt the case?
I think it's people who really felt the case. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's it because Von Miller, he recently came out and said that his breathing is still not all the way correct, even after having the coronavirus in March. And I don't know how serious his symptoms were. I think he was okay. I think he said he had a little mild fever maybe. I need to go back and check the story, but he said he's still not kind of fully recovered from the lungs. And that is one of the symptoms, I guess, of the coronavirus, or the after effects of having it. Hopefully none of these guys get it seriously and end up in the hospital. That would be the worst thing.
No wonder Zeke got so faded.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Let's not make jokes about it now.
Yeah, I'm trying to end on a serious note.
Well, you know what? Just the last thing about the Rona, we're trying to say rest in peace to Khabib Nurmagomedov's dad. He ended up passing away due to COVID complications, and that's tough for Khabib because him and his dad, as far as fighting goes, they're great bond. I know, in fact, Khabib lived with his father even up until today because it's part of the Dagestani tradition that the youngest takes care of the parents. So they were close, man. So, man, rest in peace to him.
He coached him his whole career, man. So we'll see. And rest in peace to the man. I know that the whole AKA team. You saw DC posting stuff. Luke Rockhold. A lot of people were close to this guy, and everybody kind of saw him as like he like they said that when he walked into the room, it was a presence. And you know how Khabib always has all those dudes with him also, like whenever you see Khabib, he's always got a bunch of other of his Russian buddies, family members,
crew.
whatever it may be, his crew, but they always roll deep. And that's how it was with the dad as well. And they said it almost seemed like he had bodyguards, and it was like they respected their elders so much. So the guy had a lot of respect. Who knows? Obviously they're grieving hard, like you said. Khabib and his wife and his kids still lived with his parents. So we'll see how it affects Khabib too. I do think it throws a speed bump into that defense against Gaethje, and I think that it pushes it back a little bit, rightfully so. You know what I mean?
I also think that this could be the last fight for Khabib as well.
Now we know that he's contemplated retirement so much. I don't think that he'll never fight again. I think he'll do one last one. And man, I was gonna pick Gaethje, but I don't think that you could pick against Khabib after something like this. And we'll see how the buildup goes into the fight, and if he, frames it to be, his last hoorah, and he just goes into the role that his dad had now. You know what I mean? For that country and for the wrestling and sambo. I know his dad coached hundreds, if not thousands, of athletes over there. So
Olympic athlete, Olympic level. Yeah. I mean, these guys are winning medals. I mean,
yep.
We'll see how it plays out. That's something to definitely keep our eye on as far as Khabib and how that plays out.
All right, that's the Dr. Saucy update for the week, guys. All right, UFC 251, right? That's UFC 251. This is the one we've all been waiting for. And as you know, when we do the UFC picks, we like to have special guests if possible. And none other, we got Mondo Dukes Obregon picking for us. You might have seen him on the podcast pick'em contest towards the bottom, but he's gonna try to get to the top this week.
Yeah, he's a guest. Justin.
Had to bring in the roast right away. And honestly, I should just be paying homage because he's the one that hit me up with the plus 900 last week. So I don't know what I'm doing. I started wrong.
That's how he repays you, Mondo. This is great.
Hey, Mondo, I'm gonna get you a 6-pack, bro. I'm gonna get you a 6-pack. All right, but let's get into this.
Mondo, I tried. Hey, Mondo, I tried negotiating a 12-pack because I don't know if you heard last episode.
I think I might have to charge him after that intro right there.
Yeah, you need to charge him next time for sure.
Yeah. Hey, but he wasn't lying, cause he wasn't.
All right.
No, but it's good to have Mondo on, man.
Hell
UFC Fight Island this week. Before we get into the card, though, let's get into some of the bookings that have come out recently. We got Khalil Roundtree versus Greg Hardy in the heavyweight division.
First fight for Roundtree at heavyweight for the UFC.
He moved up to 205 after being a 180 fighter and going to training in Thailand, and now I guess moving up to heavyweight. We know that he used to be like 300 and some pounds, and he lost weight, joining MMA. So who knows if he's getting, I don't want to say that he's getting lazy because he's still fighting UFC, but it's kind of weird to see the sudden jump to heavyweight. Hopefully it's just because of the name that he's getting.
He also has said that he only has a few fights left and he's done.
Oh, okay.
So maybe this was on the checklist of
this
heavyweight fight. I don't know.
And even then, bro, when they come and offer you a name like Greg Hardy and you're Khalil Roundtree, people are watching Greg Hardy fights. He's not as skilled and as technical. Maybe you can take advantage of him. I see him kicking the crap out of Hardy's legs, like that first fight that he came back. Who was it against? I don't know if it was Jotko
Eric Anders.
Anders.
Eric Anders.
Yeah, he kicked his leg, man, and till Anders couldn't stand. So that's interesting. What do y'all think about that?
I like the booking. I like it, again for Hardy. He's trying to make himself into a reputable UFC fighter. Somebody who's not just there for the namesake or just to sell a card at the last moment or something. So this is another step towards him getting to that status and being a real threat maybe in the heavyweight division. So yeah, we'll see. Another barometer test for him.
Yeah, I agree 100% there with Roland. Greg Hardy wants to make a name for himself, more than just his name and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to those leg kicks. Let's see how he adjusts to that.
Yeah, they're coming, but he's going to be the way bigger guy.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
he could just bum rush and blitz Roundtree. Yeah. Roundtree has been knocked out before.
So just before we move on from Hardy, do you think he's already surpassed your expectations for him in the UFC from what he's already done?
I think with taking 5 fights in 2019, I think he gained everybody's respect who thought that he was just in there for the spectacle and that he was taking it serious. Because you don't, and even in short notice against Volkov, like he took a fight against a top 5 guy without him even being ranked. And yeah, maybe he had been babied in, and he had that DQ due to a knee. He had the DQ due to the inhaler. But hey, bro, the guy's not quitting. He obviously he's living the lifestyle and he wants to do the sport. So I'm all for it.
I'm interested to see how much better he gets because, like you mentioned, he was living at AT&T or ATT. I don't know if he was able to live there this time with the Rona or not, or if he's training in his garage. But he was part of the dorms up there. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to see how much better he's getting fight by fight because you have seen progress. I want to see how much better he is this fight, and it's a stand-up guy, and Hardy's a stand-up guy also. So here's a chance to see how much better have you gotten. How's your cardio now?
And Khalil Roundtree might try and shoot a takedown, bro, just because Greg Hardy's going to be a lot more powerful than him. Roundtree will be the quicker guy, and it almost seems like we're breaking it down right now, but we'll get to it when it happens. But it's just so intriguing whether it's going to be the power or the quickness that wins. Yeah. So it's definitely a good fight for Hardy.
On my radar fight. Definitely want to see this one.
For sure. Another one that might be on your radar, Justin. Angela Overkill Hill against Michelle the Karate Hottie Waters.
Oh,
We know that one is flying on your radar, Justin.
Yeah, I like me some Karate Hottie, so I guess.
Yeah, it should be a good fight because I think Angela Hill won her last fight, so it'll be a good one for her. Michelle Waterson, is she on a little skid? I feel like she might have lost one or two in a row.
She lost to Joanna, and I'm not sure what happened in the fight after Joanna. I'm not sure who she fought.
I think she might have lost that second fight. I need to double check.
Well, she lost to Joanna also, so she might be on a 2-fight losing streak.
So it's a good fight for both fighters. Angela Hill, she's one of the more active fighters in the women's division.
Also 5 times last year.
She lost to Carla Esparza. Remember, she got wrestled.
There you go.
Fight.
She's on a 2-fight losing streak right now.
Oh.
So this is a fight for Waterson to get back on track. Honestly, she's going to want to do the same thing that Gadelia did to Overkill Hill. In my opinion, I think she's just going to want to wrestle her, take her down, and kind of stall her out there. Striking wise, I think it'd be a pretty fun fight if they would just both stand. Not that anybody's going to knock anybody out, but they both throw crazy ass kicks and punches.
Some pretty good kickboxing for sure.
It could be pretty fun. I won't say you should walk the dogs during that fight. All right,
for sure.
Up next, Alexander Rakic against Anthony Lionheart Smith, light heavyweight. So Anthony Smith, we saw him getting his teeth broken on ESPN. And that controversial, should they have stopped it? Should they not? He was fighting Glover Teixeira. I know we were all on Smith here on the podcast. Teixeira kind of ran a clinic on him. And interesting that 2 months later, he's getting back in the octagon again that fast. Got those veneers put in quick. And he's going to be biting down on that mouthpiece, boy. So we'll see how that goes. But even for Anthony Smith, I think he's on a little skid. So Rakic also has power, and he could knock him out.
He knocked out Jimmy Manuwa with that head kick, man.
He retired Jimmy Manuwa, I believe. He was the one that retired him. So
that was bad.
That'll be an interesting fight as well. Smith he's been beat up his last couple of fights, so we'll see what's. And he should definitely take more time off than just 2 months. bro, he was getting his face pounded in.
Yeah, I don't know how this fight's going to be lined. I'm interested to see how
That's
it comes
exactly
out,
what
but
I was thinking.
I'm not comfortable picking Anthony Smith in this fight going forward. I hope he wins. I'm a big Anthony Smith fan. I like what he brings to the game in terms of a fighter and the heart that he has with his comeback victories. But yeah, I think I'm with Ben here. He needs to take a little bit more time off, especially after that last one.
Yeah. I think Glover Teixeira even apologized to him in the ring. You know,
Bro,
for beating
yeah,
him
it's
down
just
so
business.
hard. He's like,
Teixeira was looking at
That's
the
right,
ref
Mondo.
like, "Hey, stop me!"
And he
I
was
don't
like,
wanna
"Hey, it's
do
just
this
business."
it's all good.
Yeah, he was telling the ref, "I don't want to do this anymore, man. He's
Yeah.
done."
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. Another fight. Yoel Romero gets back in the octagon.
Hell yeah, baby.
Finally, not in a title fight, bro. He had like lost 3 in a row, and he was still getting title fights.
Hey,
But
that-
Romero-
this is actually an interim fight.
Nah, hell no. They ain't do Uriah Hall no
Nah.
interim fight. But he's fighting Uriah Hall. We know Uriah Hall was booked against Jacare, I believe on the April 19th card, the first one back, the Ferguson and Gaethje. And Jacare came down with Corona. So Uriah Hall out of up there with Saif Sayud and the guys in Dallas, living in the gym. We had mentioned that he was living in the gym for the Jacare fight. Still, every picture that they post of Fortis MMA, Uriah Hall's in the picture, bro. The guy is living in the gym still. It doesn't matter if it's Neo in the picture. It doesn't matter who's in the picture. Uriah Hall is always in the picture of the training that happens. So he's staying in the gym. It's going to be interesting. Both of these guys have a problem of conserving their energy. And when they throw strikes, they throw to kill, but they don't throw that many. So this could be a fight where we get dudes just staring at each other, kind of like how Derek Lewis and Ngannou were, or we could get a fight where somebody gets KO'd quick in the first round. But I feel like it's either going to go one or two ways. It's going to be boring, or somebody's lights are going out quick. I like the matchmaking though. It's about time that they gave Yoel Romero somebody that's not in the top 5 or a championship fight.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think this is a good exposure fight also for Uriah Hall. I think he's somebody who came out with a kind of a bigger name when he was first introduced to the UFC, kind of died off and has kind of had a little bit of resurgence as of late. So I think this is a good opportunity for himself to jump Yoel Romero in the rankings with a victory here and, put himself in the conversation for the title. I don't know if it's going to put him there, but it'll put him 1 or 2 fights away maybe if he gets his victory. But I'm also just interested to see how much Yoel Romero really has left in the tank. I know Ben kind of alluded to his fight style is kind of just standing there. He doesn't throw too many punches. He's going to, wait for his kill shot kind of. And I think we saw a lot of that against Izzy, really. He was stalking him a lot, wasn't really throwing a lot. But part of you just has to wonder, how much does this 43-year-old man really have left to exert at a top level in the UFC. You're not going up against other 43-year-olds a lot of the time. You're going up against guys that are younger than you and haven't been as many wars maybe as you, because Yoel Romero has been in some wars, especially his last couple fights. Maybe not Adesanya, but the Costa and the Whitaker fights were all crazy. And then he had the Rockhold fight in the middle of the 2 Whitakers. But still has been in some wars, and you just got to wonder how much does this man have left in the tank. But hopefully, I'm a big Yoel Romero fan. Hopefully he gets the dub here. I'll be rooting for him.
What do you think, Mondo?
Yeah. Yoel's on a 3-fight losing streak.
And but who have the fights been against, Mondo?
Top guys.
Adesanya, Costa, and Whitaker.
You see,
He might have won that Costa fight too. That was close.
Yeah, the Costa fight was close.
Whitaker and Adesanya, both champs. Costa's fighting for the belt. So it's about time that they give this dude a break, bro, and give him a fight that he could win, get him back on track, a little bit of momentum. He's not going to get a title shot, I think, and the thing is, he's fought Whitaker, he's fought Costa, he's fought Adesanya, bro.
Yeah,
but he's lost to all of them.
He got screwed in the Costa fight. I think he won that fight.
And maybe one, if not both, of the Whitaker fights. He should have been a champion a while back.
Yeah.
Have you made weight?
His window might have passed.
That's true too. The weight.
But that was a Rockhold fight also. That was another one. But I think that even some of those,
right now.
one of those 2 Whitaker decisions could have gone to him, Justin, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where he did make weight. So I think Yoel Romero's window has passed.
Man.
I think it's passed. But when Mondo
Yeah.
mentions a guy that he's lost to, all three of those guys are 1, 2, and 3 in the division. I'm not saying that Yoel Romero's not top 5, but maybe he's just a gatekeeper for the top 5.
He's 43. That's pretty good.
His best
Yeah,
his
that's
best chance
crazy.
is Paulo Costa beating Adesanya, and maybe he gets that fight back.
Yeah,
I would say that's his best shot.
I can see that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So the last one that we'll go over is Junior Dos Santos versus Rosenstrike. That's on August 15th. I believe that's the DC and Stipe fight. So they'll put in some other heavyweights on there. We know Rosenstrike just came off that loss, right? He looked like he looked pretty good that first round, and he broke his foot or broke.
No,
He broke.
He
No,
lost
no,
to
no.
Ngannou.
Rosenstrike got
Oh, he's
murdered.
okay. Who was the one that was a lower tier heavyweight. But he got knocked out by Ngannou. We didn't get to see much from him in his last fight. JDS definitely doesn't bring that same fight style, so I think that this fight will play out. I think it'll play out kind of like the Overeem and Rosenstrike fight, where JDS is just going to outclass him based on experience.
Outbox
And
him.
I don't think JDS gets caught. That's what I'll say. So
with
I
you.
like JDS
I'm with
early.
you.
And both fighters coming off a loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good fight from that perspective. I don't think JDS is going to lose to Rosenstrike here, but would like to see more of him, considering that, I mean, the last fight, he literally just, him and Ngannou walked up to each other and just went rock 'em sock 'em, and he got caught. So just want to see a little bit more out of him this next fight.
Yeah, I don't have much of a dog in this fight. I think JDS, like Ben said, I don't think he gets caught. And that's just where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I don't think JDS will have a problem with Rosenstrike. He's not at Blade's level where he gets caught. So
Yeah.
JDS by decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll go like the JDS and Derek Lewis fight. That's how I see it going. The way
Dang,
that
these bookings though, man, it's heating up. I like reading off these bookings. Just gives me more stuff to look forward to.
stuff to look. Hey, you just gotta hope that they don't test positive for the Rona. But it's fun seeing all these bookings and, like you said,
Yeah.
stuff to look forward to. Speaking of stuff that we should have been looking forward to, Israel Adesanya reportedly turned down a fight against Paulo Costa, UFC 251 and 252. So that's this Fight Island or on the DC and
Strip him. Strip
What
him.
is he? What the heck? Oh
I mean,
my-
he's been pretty clear that he wants to fight Paulo Costa. I don't know what the holdup is. I know that he's been out on the streets protesting actively. And New Zealand has had a lot of protests. He was out there actively. Maybe he's holding out because of that. I don't think that he's scared of Paulo Costa. And I think that it would actually benefit Izzy to take the fight sooner rather than later, based on Paulo Costa having that shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So not
I
too
think,
sure what the play is here.
I think one of the issues for Izzy right now is he's not in the gym. City
Yeah.
Kickboxing, Volkanovski, who's on the card, we'll talk about that later, has admitted that because of the situation in New Zealand, they're not at the gym. He's been training at home, and,
He's in Australia though,
but he trains with City Kickboxing.
but he can't travel. I'm pretty sure Izzy can still work out there because he's in New Zealand, isn't he?
Well, from
Isn't
what
that
I
where City
heard,
Kickboxing is?
Volkanovski saying was that City Kickboxing was down right now for the moment.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
why I was alluding to that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
makes
and that's interesting because Hooker fights out of there too.
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly what the details were on that, but I know Hooker also lives there.
Yeah, he
Like
lives
you
in New
said.
Zealand, and
Yeah,
I mean,
the coach
just
was
what
there
I
with him.
had- Just what I have.
No,
heard.
for sure, and
Yeah.
I don't doubt you, but look at the Hooker situation. He's having to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks
Yeah.
before flying back and all that. So I don't doubt it. But we'll get to that when we start breaking down that fight.
Yes, sir.
So, but do y'all think he's ducking, or is he
Yeah,
just?
I don't know.
timing
I don't think he's
right?
I don't think he's ducking. I think it has a lot to do with just the time that we're in right now with the coronavirus
His
and
current
with the,
situation, I don't think oh, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Yeah, and with like the social issues that are going on right now, he's been out in the protests and whatnot. So I just don't think he's wanting to fight so soon. Like they tried to get him to fight for this July 11th fight, and and 252, which is not far behind. I think they're going to end up getting something done for September or October, more than likely. I think they're going to get it done. I don't think he's necessarily ducking him.
Another quick point before Mondo goes, you also got to think Adesanya wants to be the main event.
Yeah, he doesn't want to share the card. He's
Right.
that guy now.
If he was on that Stipe and DC card, there's no way he's the main event. And you know he wants to be the
arguably,
last one
yeah.
with his entrances and shit.
For
He
sure.
wants the whole show to be on him.
That's a good
could be
point.
Another thing.
And they were saying that they weren't even thinking about pairing him up with Gaethje and Khabib. They said that they were only thinking about that in case Khabib doesn't fight now with what's happened with his father. So, yeah, I think you're right, Ben. He definitely wants to be the only ticket or the
Wants
only
to be
main
the
event in
final
town.
fight. He wants to
for
be
sure.
the encore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
No,
you
I
think?
mean Roland hit it right on the head. I don't think he's ducking out of fear or anything like that. I think just his current situation right now with everything that's going on with the protests that he's been a part of and all that. I don't think it's the right time for him to fight right now. So I think that's why he's holding off. I think late September, like Roland said, is a good time, and also so he could be the main star of that card.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, speaking of what I think probably would have been a main event of a card, Pedro Munoz against Frankie Edgar. Pedro Munoz goes down to the Rona. Another one bites the dust. Prayers out for Pedro Munoz. I'm sure he'll be fine, as fit as he is, and how most of these athletes have been pretty good after getting it.
That was Abu Dhabi, right?
That was
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi.
He was going to be. I'm pretty sure they were the main event for one of the Wednesday card, right?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
The
Wow.
Wednesday, because Frankie Edgar's a main event style fighter. So now
Yeah.
Pedro Munoz, Frankie Edgar was making his debut, I believe, at 135, kind of following the steps of Jose Aldo
Yeah.
and going down in weight. Munoz, we know a guy that's in the top 10, so it would have been a pretty good test for Frankie. Now it kind of just goes in to see if they get him a replacement with a week and a half to do it. Maybe there's another guy in the same weight class on that card. I haven't looked through the full card, but maybe they bump somebody up and give him the Frankie Edgar fight, just to keep for the main event's sake. Because I'm sure Frankie Edgar was the A side, I think, against Munoz. So I think they just still want to keep Frankie Edgar as a main event, being that he's already out there. I think they left today or yesterday, that second flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was supposed to be the co-main to Calvin Kattar and Danny.
Oh, then they're fine. Then they might just rebook him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might just rebook him.
I was looking forward to Frankie fighting in
At that
his
weight.
third weight class.
He's been on a skid too, man. So
on a
this was
skid.
kind of desperate times for him as far as trying the whole new weight class.
Yeah. And he's going to be fighting against more guys his size. I don't think like his just natural height, his dimensions really didn't do him any favors in that featherweight division, or where was he? Was in another division prior to featherweight.
Lightweight.
Well,
Too,
the guy was 155
Oh.
champ when he came in, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. 155 champ. He's dropped now 20 pounds. But I just think about, I know Max Holloway, we're going to talk about him a little bit later, is a different case because he's one of the taller guys or one of the lankier guys. But I mean, it's just tough going up against guys when you have a bad reach disadvantage. So hopefully he gets a little bit more guys his size in the bantamweight division. All right, that's kind of how I'm thinking about it for him.
What do you think, Dukes?
No, I agree with all of that. It'd be good to see them fight again. I mean, it's going to be exciting, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into this. Go ahead.
The other thing that I kind of find strange about Frankie Edgar, though, is you would think the guy would be cutting the most weight, when he's fresh in his career, as to later in his career being older. You think it's harder.
It's the
to
Aldo
cut
route.
weight. So it almost seems like they're doing it in reverse. But I mean, both guys have been champs
Benjamin Button.
before. So they're just trying to. They're just trying to keep picking that last straw at that title run. I get it. You know what I mean?
Just prolonging their careers.
Frankie Edgar, I believe, signed a new deal recently too. I was going to say today. Okay,
Today.
so we're going to be seeing more of Frankie Edgar, win or lose his his debut at 135.
This next fight was the last fight on his last deal, and now he has a new deal to continue
he's
his
a lifer.
UFC career. Yeah, he wants to be with UFC for the rest. Doesn't want to go fight at one or somewhere else.
Yeah. And just the last quick hitter, Gilbert Burns. What was the Fight Island main event against Kamaru Usman?
He was on a good run.
Friday night, Gilbert Burns gets corona, tests positive for corona, gets pulled off the card, and the madness begins. The scramble begins to find the new challenger.
But it didn't last long.
It did not
didn't
last
last
Scramble
long.
did not last long
quick.
this time.
We saw
It came quick.
first, real quick. Just I don't want to skip over Burns because we saw him get hot. We saw him.
Yeah, he was on a streak. He was on a streak.
Yeah,
on
he
a
got on a
6-fight win
streak.
streak, bro.
He got hot. He beat Woodley. He made a name for himself.
Beat
What Woodley
somebody.
said he didn't want to be was a stepping stone, and that guy that catapults somebody. Gilbert Burns beat him. #1 contender. Wasn't asking for as much money as Masvidal. Bam! Here's a title shot. Teammates split camps. Go their separate ways. They're set to fight a week before the fight. Corona. Crazy. Gilbert Burns. What happens?
Yeah.
Does he get the title shot after this fight?
Yeah, no, he has to. I think. I think it
It's
is deservingly
circumstantial.
so. Deservingly so. I mean, he did not lose it because he missed weight. He didn't lose it because, I mean, unless they find out that he was out partying or something and he got the corona because he wasn't following protocols or whatever, then I think he does have to get, I guess, the winner of this fight for the title, unless it's an epic and you're going to want to book it again, because I'd want to see a rematch of these two guys.
I'm going to take a different path than Roland and say it's dependent on who wins this next fight. If Masvidal wins, Masvidal is going to throw it back with Nate, or he's going to throw it with Stephen Thompson, who he's talking about wanting to
that's a
fight
good
with. If Usman wins, being that they're friends, being that he's going to be like, let's get this guy up next.
Usman will take it the way of the ladder, the ranking.
Absolutely.
If Masvidal wins, and we're going to get to this later, this is why we're just putting scenarios here. If Masvidal wins, it's going to be like McGregor's running that division. It's going to be a circus. It's going to be a circus, and he already promised Nate the fight. Whether the UFC abides by those rules or not, I think that they will. Just
He
based on
already
the
promised Nate a title fight. No, mom.
He did, bro.
Shut the fuck up. That's not going to happen.
He promised
Sorry,
Nate to bring it back due to the doctor stopping the fight. We know that Conor McGregor has told him that they're going to do the third one, and he hasn't done the third one with Nate. Nate's in pretty good position with all these dudes owing him fights, bro. I'll tell you that.
Wait till the last time he's won a fucking fight.
It's because
It's the money, though. It's the money.
Hey, bro. Thing is, all the guys that he fights have that respect for him to be like, nah.
In that case, Masvidal can take a fight off from defending the belt, and he can put up the BMF belt, and they can fight for that again. Because Nate Diaz is not fighting for a freaking welterweight championship. I'm sorry.
They addressed that, and Masvidal said it's not going to be for the BMF, but hey, we can fight for this welterweight. Here's your chance to get the title at that.
Here's the thing that I'll say,
That's wild.
and you know what, Nate Diaz is, as much as you're saying he's not owed these rematches, Roland.
No, I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying he's not owed a title fight. I mean, it changes when the guy has the title.
It doesn't matter. It's a rematch. Listen, he beat Conor and he gave Conor the rematch. Then Conor promised it back. He put Masvidal on. If Masvidal doesn't, I know that we're going to say that Masvidal became a star with that Ben Askren knee, but if he doesn't beat Diaz, Masvidal's not a star.
It's solidified.
that star grew more. The star grew more.
If Diaz doesn't say, I'm going to create the BMF belt and I'm going to defend it against Masvidal, he put him on, bro.
Yeah, you're on it. You're on it.
He said, come on.
I thought they were. How is Nate defending that now? I thought they were
He
fighting
made the
for it.
belt. He made who
I mean,
created
this is
it?
crazy.
He said, I'll
This is
defend
crazy.
my BMF title. He said it.
Look, I see what you're saying. I see, but
The
if
problem
Masvidal
is I want you to accept it. I don't want you to see it because
the fight
Comprehend it.
for the BMF belt, they're not fighting for a title fight, a title shot.
Well, the
That's
BMF
crazy.
was a title, bro. I mean, he got strapped up by Dwayne Johnson, baby.
BMF, honestly, I'm kind of with Usman, man. It's like a little participation trophy. It doesn't mean anything. In that division, it might. In that division, it might because they have these big
doesn't
players.
mean
They
a
have
thing.
They have these big players like Connor who comes in, Nate who supposedly is. I mean, I get it. Nate, he is a BMF for sure. He's
That's
probably
the thing. Is
the
Usman a BMF?
godfather.
He's a DMF,
I mean,
dorky
He
mother.
thinks he is, but I mean, he's just Masvidal. Not
That
Masvidal.
belt can
Usman's
only
just a
be
horse.
defended
He's a
against
beast.
certain people, bro. That belt only fits certain people.
Yeah, you have to have the aura about you. You have to have
And
the
Nate Diaz and
swag.
Masvidal definitely both
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, for sure. But the
Oh.
title fight. No.
Like, well, you
Yeah.
know what? We're talking about it. Let's get into the card. Let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get into it. I was gonna say poor Gilbert Burns, but damn it, boy, we're praying for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fight we all wanted, anyways, right?
This is the
No,
one.
hey, and then how many pay-per-view buys does this add to the card?
Oh, dude, a whole bunch, and that goes to
Roland. A whole bunch is not a number, Roland. Okay, you can't cop out with a
One
whole
second,
bunch.
a whole
before we get
bunch.
started.
I mean,
How many?
I don't know.
Not
I mean,
a million, but how
I mean,
many?
500,000 buys.
well, he's not
half a
gonna do
million?
that himself.
Yeah, man. Masvidal's a draw, man.
Masvidal
don't
will
think
probably,
by himself.
he'll probably add like an extra 200, maybe an extra 100, 200, something like that in that range.
I'm at 2 to 3 because
Yeah.
he's definitely the A side. I would say, right?
All they gotta
Oh,
do is
dude,
start showing those
100%.
Super Bowl
And that-
clips
that-
again.
And that was part of the problem in the beginning was, hey, Masvidal, I'm the A side. Usman, well, I have the belt. Well, that doesn't really matter when we're talking about the UFC and selling fights and all that. It's who are you tuning in to watch? Who's selling it? And it's Masvidal. I mean, it's not even a question. Yes, I was making fun of the belt or whatever right now, but Masvidal is one of my favorite fighters, admittingly so. I love his style. I like his swag. I like the whole resurrection thing because, I mean, think about it. Before he came back, I mean, he was kind of a guy that was out of the UFC for 2 years, or he wasn't active. He was doing reality TV, and then he takes a fight against Till and just completely starches him. And it's like, what's this guy been doing?
We're gonna start from the bottom, though, Roland. We're gonna start from the bottom.
Okay.
We're gonna start with the pay-per-view curtain jerker. So in the women's division, all right, this week we're making. Before I forget, we're making 5 picks, guys. On the main card, we're picking all 5, starting with the Paige Van Zandt fight. And friend of the podcast, Bet King, is actually having whoever puts their picks in. We're adding one little kink to the contest this week. The main event, you got to put the method that you think the fighter you're picking is going to win, whether it's submission, whether it's knockout, or whether it's decision. Give us, if you go 5-0 and you get the method right, Bet King is offering $250 in free play for everybody that's participating with the We Talking About Sports
That's a sweet deal.
UFC Pick'em contest, and they also have $100% deposit match. So you deposit $100, they're going to match you with another $100, and you have $200.
That's a Twitter
so-
at BetKing. Twitter
Yeah,
at
well-
BetKing.
And we'll put the handle on the YouTube video later. But they've been down with us since day one also, so they're having this little competition. Hey, you go 5-0 on the main card, and with the main event, you either pick how you think he's gonna win. $250, man, to fuck around and play with on their website. So shout out to them. Shout out to them for that. So now getting into it, the pay-per-view curtain jerker in the women's flyweight division, Amanda Ribas 9-1 against Paige 12 Gauge Van Zandt 8-4. The biggest favorite on the card, Amanda Ribas, because she's Brazilian, I believe, so you don't pronounce the R. It's Ribas. Minus 900. Paige Van Zandt plus 525. So Paige Van Zandt, we know, darling of the UFC. She's had the push for a decent amount of time. This is her last fight on her UFC contract, man. So she didn't negotiate a new deal. And to be a minus 900 underdog on on the last fight of your contract, definitely not a good sign. I have some speculation of whether she's going to be with the UFC much longer due to her husband, fiance, whatever you want to call him, fighting for Bellator.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense to take this fight as the last fight of your contract when you're going to be negotiating right after this. But anyway, she has 8 fights in 6 years in the UFC. So she's fighting 1.2 times a year on average. We know she's had a bunch of injuries from her forearm to her shoulder, her knee. Her last win was against Rachel Ostovich in 2019. And this fight, man, is just not a good matchup for Ribas, hence the minus 900 line. Amanda Ribas is going to be the bigger fighter here. She's got the better striking. She's 4-0 in her UFC career, 9-1 professionally. That one loss was to Polyana Viana, who is a UFC fighter as well, but that fight wasn't in the UFC. It was in a smaller organization.
Jungle.
And Jungle, exactly. Once Paula Viana came into the UFC, she went 0-4. And Amanda Ribas actually rematched that fight and did get the win back. So pretty simple, man. All this love for Paige Van Zandt, I know that she gets based on her Instagram and whatever else it may be. I think that this line is, I'm not going to say minus 900 is warranted, but she's going to get beat 3 rounds. If she doesn't get stopped, it's going to be a 30-27 unanimous. So give me Amanda Ribas.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Amanda Ribas or Ribas, however you pronounce it. So mark me down for her. The only thing I will say about PVZ, is I don't think she cares if she wins or loses. Obviously, she'd rather win, but I was listening to an interview that she was on with her husband a couple of weeks or months ago. It was definitely in the lead up to this fight, where she was talking about how much money she made on Dancing with the Stars. She said she made more money on Dancing with the Stars in the few episodes that she was on than the whole time she'd been with the UFC, than all of her fights with the UFC. So she's like looking forward to the contract negotiations. She wants to go somewhere and you be able to use her marketability for another contract. It's kind of what she's looking at. But all that said, you still have to be a pretty competitive fighter to keep on getting booked. You have to win every once in a while. And, she hasn't won unless it's been against, I would say, lesser competition. So I'm going with Amanda Ribas here.
Yeah. Speaking on the money situation, she's been very vocal about wanting more money. Yeah. And like Ben alluded to, this is the last fight of her contract. So once this is up and they go into negotiations, she's going to be wanting a lot of money to continue fighting. So as far as the matchup situation, I think they paired her with Ribas as like a catapult for Ribas, and also to bring PVZ a peg down. Like if you're going to be asking for this much money, like we're going to give you a fighter who's going to be tough to beat. You beat
her, you can get it.
Yeah.
You beat her, you get paid. But I mean, she's a huge Armando. Or let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. Does she just want to finish this UFC contract, go to Bellator with her husband, put a couple of stickers on her shorts, and possibly be a champion at Bellator?
Yeah, that's definitely an option too. That's definitely, she'll be out there with her husband, like you said.
I think that is she's 75% gone, bro. Especially because they didn't do her no damn favors with this fight. It's kind of like a tell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I think they paired her with Ribas, so Ribas can
the UFC probably doesn't even want to negotiate.
Get that name under her belt, right? Some notoriety.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That makes sense.
I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, PVZ at plus 525, bro. That's crazy. I mean,
could just catch a sub. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, bro. If she can get Ribas down to the ground, she might just sub her.
She's not going to win I don't think she's going to win by decision or by knockout. And with these crazy ass odds, bro, like 10, a little 10-5 spot on Paige Van Zandt by sub, the odds have to be crazy. But that literally is her only path to victory, in my opinion.
It is. I agree 100%. If it stays on the feet, Ribas will piece her up, because PVZ doesn't have striking, bro. Her striking is terrible. But
it's not powerful either.
She hurt herself on a spinning back fist or whatever. Isn't that how she broke her forearm or something?
Mm-hmm. And PVZ hasn't fought in a year, over a year. Yeah. Right. Her last fight was in January of last year.
It was a win.
It was a win, yeah. And supposedly she's been training like crazy this past year. She's been training like crazy. She's in really good shape. So we'll see. I mean, all right, Justin, I'll let you jump in here and take over that.
You got Ribas? For contest purposes? I mean, you are pretty low in the rankings, Mondo. 5 points would go hard.
I know, and this is a good spot. I mean, you know what? For contest purposes, give me PVZ at that plus 525.
All right. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I'm with Mondo, man. PVZ flying knee knockout first round. No, I'm just playing. This fight was booked to make sure PVZ has no leverage. She's gonna be out of the UFC. I don't even think the UFC is that much interested in keeping her around much more. Very vocal about her money situation, and she isn't really a draw even at this point for the UFC. Look at where they have her at. You know, it's not a co-main. It's not in the middle. It's at the very end of the.
It is on the pay-per-view though.
It's on the pay-per-view though. That's a big deal.
It's to show Rebus more than it is for PVZ.
But you gotta say she's the A side coming into the fight based off name notoriety. What I will say, Justin,
yes.
Is she the female Sage Northcutt? Is that what you're saying?
No, maybe not. Maybe not because she beat Ostovich, you know. So, and Ostovich has her training too. I don't know. It's gonna be Rebus though, just to keep this quick.
All right. Well, up next, another women's fight in the women's strawweight division. Jessica Bate Estaca Andrade with a 20-7 record against Rose Thug Namajunas with an 8-4 record. The line here, Rose Namajunas is the favorite, minus 215. The comeback on Andrade, plus 165. Now, quick note, this is a rematch. The last time these ladies fought, Rose Namajunas was the champion, was the favorite, and Andrade did lose the first round and then proceeded to slam powerbomb Rose Namajunas on her head, knock her unconscious, and it kind of caused some controversy in the UFC due to women speaking out, because obviously Andrade is the only chick who's picking up people in powerbomb.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Michelle Watterson and several other people was like, that should be illegal. You know what I mean? And we've seen a lot of people. We've seen Rampage bomb people and knock them out unconscious. It's something that has happened often. People have been slammed.
Not often.
Well, no, not often.
It's
not
has
often,
happened
but,
before.
It's happened before, though.
Yeah,
more than you'd like it to.
And more, but I can't even say more often than not, but it's happened several times. You know what I mean?
Handful of times at most.
Right, but you can't ban it.
It almost happened to
No,
me.
you can.
You know what I mean?
It's not necessarily a UFC move, but you can't ban it.
Anyway, yeah, and this fight was scheduled for April 19th. That was the original card. Rose Namajunas did pull out. She had family members pass away due to COVID. So that was her reason for pulling out. I mean, Rose Namajunas lost to Jessica Andrade by knockout, and she's a 2-1 favorite again against her. I think Rose in that last fight looked more crisp. She looked faster in the first round. She kind of just beat herself. She was a champ. But the other thing, Roland, is she was a champ, but she didn't like being the champ. So it's not like we can say, like, she was a champ because she wasn't even in a good mental mind state.
I'm just saying she looked like the champ. She looked like the champion,
yeah,
like she was supposed to be.
Yeah, she did look like the champ. So maybe that's the reason for the 2-1 odds. Jessica Andrade, I mean, I'm not saying she's going to slam her again, but she's a bruiser, a juggernaut. She's going to be pushing in there, dirty boxing, throwing some hooks. I'm going to save my pick, and I'm going to let you all go, and then I'll come back and make my pick.
Okay. I guess I'll go first with my pick. I'm going to go with Thug Rose here. I'm taking her because I think the only chance that Andrade has is that freak accident or that freak takedown. I think that's her only path of victory is using her force or her brute force on Rose and making this into an ugly fight where she has to body slam or take her down to the ground, because otherwise I just don't see where Andrade has an advantage. So I'm going with Rose here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be leaning Rose as well. After rewatching their first fight, Rose came out impeccable. Her striking was amazing. It was crisp. It was quicker. Her jab was on point. She was just, picking her apart. Andrade, though, does have very good leg kicks. I noticed that. Her leg kicks were good. They were landing. Andrade is a lot stronger. But how does Rose like not get pinned against the cage and get lifted again? You think she can?
I'm not saying she could also get hit with a hook but I think that she's too quick. That's the thing. Let me ask y'all a question before we go further, just to get y'all's input on this. But with knowing Rose Namajunas' character and kind of her emotions, how she visibly wears them on her sleeve, are all these extra circumstances with the quarantine in Vegas and the test, then the long ass flight to Abu Dhabi, then the 48-hour quarantine in Abu Dhabi. Like, is it too much for her? Is she somebody who kind of needs a routine?
I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna be positive here and say that she's gonna use all of this to rally. It's either one way. I mean, you just nailed it with a person like this, especially with fighters and maybe even more so with a person like Rose. She's on either end of the spectrum. There's no such thing as being in the middle. She's either super high or she's super low, kind of in terms of her emotions. And I think she's gonna use all of this to rally. She's coming off an L. She's I'm not trying to tote this as an advantage for her, but she's had some distraught in her personal family life. She's going to use all of this, look to the fight as kind of like an escape for her, just where she's going to be out in the octagon. And I think it's going to work out to her advantage. So I think it's going to be positive for her.
Yeah, and it's very tough to gauge that with somebody like Rose, because like she has so many like anxiety issues and things mentally leading up to the fight that it's either going to be, like Roland said, she's either going to be extremely locked in to where she's using this to her advantage and she's just blocking everything out, or all of this, coronavirus, quarantine, flying to Abu Dhabi, all of that, plus her anxiety is going to just completely, all the precautions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like she's in a good place based off that interview that I also listened to, that Roland referred to earlier. Like, it sounds like she said that they changed her garage into a gym. We know, like, one of her coaches is her husband, Pat Barry. They've been spending a lot of time gardening. They grow all their own vegetables and fruits and stuff. So it does sound like she's in a good place. And Andrade is going to win by KO, TKO, or Rose is going to either choke her out or win a decision. That's the way I feel about it. Justin, where are you at?
Well, I wanted to answer Mondo's question. He said, how is Rose going to not let herself get slammed against the cage like that? Well, if you remember last time, the reason why she got slammed was because she didn't let go of the submission the way she had her. If Rose decides this time to let go of the submission, she's not going to get slammed on her head again. And so I fully expect for that not to happen. I know Rose might put herself in that situation again because she does like to get subs, but she'll know, hey, this girl is capable of slamming me. Let me let go so I don't get slammed on my head.
That's a good point, Justin.
With that being said, I think Rose is gonna win. She's gonna piece her up. She's gonna do the stand up, and she'll get the win by stand up. She's just a better stand up fighter.
Yeah. What's Rose's conditioning? I noticed in the second round of this fight with Andrade, she was already starting to kind of fade a little bit. Andrade was coming forward a lot more with a lot more aggression, and Rose was backpedaling a lot. That's how I feel she got backed up into the cage too.
That's Mondo, but that's how the fight's gonna go exactly this time. Also, Rose is gonna have, because Andrade is a brute, bro. Yeah. She only knows one way, and that's forward.
She just keeps on going forward.
But that's an advantage to Rose, because with Andrade going forward, she pops the jab, and Andrade is walking right into it. Yeah. And you did your film study, cuz I hear you. So Rose was popping the jab even in the first fight. Like, she looked good before she got slammed. She just had a brain fart. She held on to the sub, and she got slammed. So for that reason, I also see Rose outclassing her. I think that get the sub, and I got Rose winning this one.
Yeah, I do too. I think after getting herself in that situation, the first fight, she now knows what to look out for, now what to not get into. Like, put herself in that situation, and I think Rose will piece her up to get the dub.
All right. Well, next, the first of 3 title fights in the bantamweight division. Peter No Mercy Yan with a 14-1 record, minus 245, against Jose Aldo Jr. 28-6 record, plus 185. Like how we spoke about this earlier, Jose Aldo made his debut at 135. He dropped down. He fought Marlon Moraes and he lost. It was a 3-round fight, I believe. They weren't a main event. They were a co-main. And it seemed like Aldo was coming ahead. Moraes did win the first round because he's a front runner. Moraes always has that first round on lock. We saw that against Cejudo. Moraes is going to win the first round. But if he gasses out, you can get to him. A lot of people, including Dana White, thought Jose Aldo won that fight, and that's why he was rewarded with the interim title fight. We know Henry Cejudo retired, so this is for the interim title. Peter Yan, 6-0 in the UFC. This is his first title fight of his career. So, I mean, what a first title fight, right? You're fighting Jose Aldo, arguably one of the GOATs of the UFC.
Yep.
But he is a fresher fighter. He's on a winning streak. I believe he's won 11 in a row. He's got the power advantage, I think, against an older Aldo, punching-wise. I'm not going to say weight-wise and pushing his weight because Aldo was a 145er, now going to 135. Mm-hmm. But I do think Yan punches harder than Aldo. I think if they do have to grapple, I think the advantage does go to Aldo and he will be stronger there. The thing with Yan, man, this is his biggest test. Like, how is your obviously every fighter's biggest test is the title fight, right? But Jose Aldo, like we said, a GOAT. This is a huge step. This is a 5-round fight. Can Peter Yan go a full 5 rounds? Jose Aldo has done it plenty of times. A lot of question marks in this fight, and Peter Yan's a minus 245 favorite. So coming back on Aldo, coming off that loss to Moraes, older fighter, but he's faced everybody. You name the guys at 145. Jose Aldo has been through them. Obviously, he lost to Max Holloway. Max Holloway and Peter Yan, 2 complete different fighters. I think the range and the height of Holloway really messed with Jose Aldo. And this is his second fight at 135. So I think the key to this fight for Aldo is he needs to kick, bro. Jose Aldo has gone away from his kicking. If he kicks Peter Yan, like Andrade, he's going to be coming forward. Jose Aldo will be fighting off the cage a lot, backing up a lot. He's going to have to be in and out. But if he chops at that leg of Peter Yan, he can stall out that forward movement. And I'm going with Aldo. I think that it's going to be too much for Yan. I think that Jose Aldo is going to win a decision. So I'm going with Aldo, hoping to pick up those 2 points here.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a very interesting take there, Ben. I'm all over Peter Yan here. I think he's catapulting right now. I think he's definitely on the way up. Dude, what's crazy is that Jose Aldo is only 33 years old. Isn't that insane? It feels like this guy's been fighting forever. But with that, you also get those fighting miles, bro. Like, this guy's been through wars. And Aldo's coming down to 135. He missed weight with Moraes by 1 pound. He came in at 136. And I don't think he can afford to do that here.
You get an allowance. When it's not a title fight, you get 1 pound.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why he did it.
Yeah.
I think he could have made 135. No, he can't. For a title fight, you got to be on the dot, 135.
Yeah. What I have here is kind of, this is for Justin here, because I know he likes these picks since I hooked them up last week. But I might have a very interesting, very juicy play here with a round 4 TKO for Peter Yan.
Round 4? Why round 4?
Because I think Aldo's going to gas getting later into the rounds.
But has Yan ever been to a round 4?
I don't know. But Yan is a lot younger. Yan is a lot younger, and I think his gas tank will last longer than Aldo's. And Peter Yan, he's a very calm fighter. He's not out there acting crazy. Like, he's conservative with his energy and his shots. I think he can definitely last long in the fight.
That is, Mondo, one of the reasons why I think Jose Aldo has a chance at winning by decision, just because Yan is very picky with what he throws, because he does throw with power. So
his right hand is so strong.
I see it as Yan early or Aldo by decision is the way that I see it. And I just don't think that he gets Aldo out of there the way McGregor did. That's why I'm going with Aldo by decision. Roland, what do you think?
Man, this is a tough one for me. But I'm not one of those people that thought Aldo was deserving of this championship fight, even though I guess he arguably beat Marlon Moraes. So I'm going to go Peter Yan here. I think he's going to be the slightly more active fighter. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Jose Aldo, like for all of the points that Ben and Mondo brought up, I think he's going to be competitive in this one. I think the fighting style for Peter Yan lends to Jose Aldo being around in this fight a little longer. And I do think, based on kind of what Mondo said with Peter Yan being picky with the shots, and he has gone, all 3 rounds a couple times already. So he has, that gas tank. This will be the first time we'll see the championship gas tank to see if it's there in the 4th and the 5th. But I think he's going to get there. He should be the fresher fighter, the younger guy going into the octagon. So yeah, give me Peter Yan. And I got to stay different from Ben.
I'm glad you did, bro.
Give me Aldo by decision.
Hey, 2-2 is the split.
I like it.
Get on the. Hey, Justin, real concise, bro.
Well, I looked
Just
at
straight
who
to
Aldo's
business.
Justin
lost
has
to,
somewhere to be.
and
Justin
it's been
has
the
somewhere to be.
who's, Volkanovski, Holloway twice, but then he's beaten guys like Moicano, Stevens, guys who are bangers with big punches.
Justin, if Moraes is fighting Peter Yan, what's the line?
You know what? I'm not an odds maker, but I would think it would be Moraes favored.
Right?
Yeah.
So were you on the side where you thought Moraes clearly beat Aldo, or
No,
did you think
I
it
thought
was
that
up?
was close. I didn't know how to score it.
That's why I'm saying at 2-1, it's wild, bro. Especially for a guy of Aldo's caliber. Yeah, like Mondo said, he might have too many miles, but I don't think that he's going to be finished, and I think he knows how to win decisions. So,
I just want to give Mondo a little shout out, man. He's done his homework, bro. He came in here ready.
he watched
He's got me
film.
nervous, dude. He's got me nervous with my picks.
Good shit, Mondo.
All right, coming up
Appreciate it.
next in the featherweight division, we got a rematch. Alexander the Great Volkanovski, 21-1 record against Max Blessed Holloway, 21-5 record. Now here we got a rematch of when the Blessed Express hit a speed bump, took a halt, ran out of gas,
My boy.
My God.
and the Blessed era seemed to come to an end when Alexander Volkanovski calf kicked Max Holloway to a unanimous decision, what I would call it. I didn't think it was as convincing as everybody else did. I thought that he just kicked his leg for 5 rounds, was consistent with it, and I hope Jose Aldo does that to Peter Yan because he'll win a decision the exact same way Volkanovski did. Max Holloway was minus 200 the first time he was defending his title in this fight. Come back around, Alex Volkanovski is minus 245. The comeback on Max Holloway plus 185. Alex Volkanovski, like we said, rematch fight. He won the unanimous decision against Holloway.
The Haas.
Leg kicks. He stopped Max Holloway's movement by kicking that front leg, making him switch stances. It really put a stall to Max Holloway, although he did seem to come on a little bit in the later rounds. I think
that was questionable.
it was questionable, and I think that it was a clear Volkanovski win. I think that's why he's favored. The line might be a little bit too high. We know Volkanovski comes from that city kickboxing team. I'm not sure if the gym is open or he's been training there, but that coach, Eugene Harriman, I believe his name is, they put together a real good game plan, and I think it showed in the first fight with the leg kicks, man. You just got to be technical and consistent, chop the opponent down, and Volkanovski has a very good fight IQ. I think his mind was really set on being a champion, and I think that he wants to stay a champion. For Max Holloway, like I said, struggled with his movement last fight due to his leg being chopped down. He is the taller fighter against Volkanovski, even though Volkanovski does have an inch and a half, I believe, of reach, or 2 inches of reach. But due to Max being the taller fighter, man, his legs are exposed, and that's just a target for Volkanovski to leg kick, which is why I think it played such a big part. There's been some speculation about Max Holloway not having a full training camp, not being able to train, him saying he was training through Zoom with his coaches, kind of like Kirk Cousins is doing in the NFL. I know ESPN ran a whole bit on Kirk Cousins' driveway training. But I don't put much attention to that because I don't think you're fighting a championship fight and training over Zoom. So I think that he's bullshitting, playing a little bit of mind games. But Max Holloway isn't known to play mind games. He's pretty much a guy that shoots from the hip and, kind of says it how it is. So with this fight, man,
Why do you think he's playing mind games? I think he might really be serious.
Because he lost. No, I don't think. I think he's playing mind games because he lost to this dude.
No, I'm saying if you say that he's really like shooting from the hip. Oh, you're saying he's saying all of that. So you don't believe that he hasn't been training. You think that he has been training.
I mean, I'm not saying he hasn't had a full fight camp with a bunch of sparring partners, but bro, there's no way he's been posting his laptop up like I have mine right now and throwing combos based off what his coach is saying into the camera. That's wild.
But I mean, he didn't just say that though. Like he kept on with it. He was like, yo, he's like, we're warriors at this point. Like I know how to fight. Like I don't need all this blah blah blah. Like he did keep on with it. He didn't just leave it at that. He brought on some justification points. I'm just saying.
I don't think it's that wild of an idea, especially with what we're going through right now.
Yeah, and the laws that were going on in Hawaii. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, he's the king of Hawaii, bro.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point too. Just like
the real king of Hawaii, and it's not Max Holloway.
You know what? I gotta keep
it. Some surfer, right?
Some I
don't know, bro. I think the Rock
indigenous people, bro.
Who did you pick
with like a 60-foot.
Oh, I cut you off. My bad, bro. Who are you gonna pick? I interject. I apologize.
Picking Volkanovski.
You're picking Volkan. Damn it. Somebody else go.
Give me Max all day here, bro.
All day. That's what I want to hear all day.
Max Holloway. Max Holloway at plus 185, bro. That's something you don't get every day, and I will take that every single time I can get it. Honestly, I'm gonna wait though. I'm gonna sit back and wait on people to come in on Volkanovski even more, and if I can get Max Holloway plus 200 or over, I'm all in on that.
You don't think it would be the other way around, Mondo, with Max being the better known name and seeing him at those odds? You don't think more people are going to jump on him at plus 85?
Maybe the recency bias.
Then people jumping on Volkanovski on minus 245? It just seems like
no, because the line already has moved once he said about the Zoom thing.
Yeah.
Right. But that's why it moved. That's just going to go.
I don't expect it to move the other way now. All of a sudden,
he's going to get to the island. He's going to get interviewed by a real MMA reporter, and they're going to call him on his bullshit real quick, and the line's going to drop back down.
Excuse me.
I think if you want to take Max Holloway, now's the time, because once you get those fight interviews, the weigh-ins, and all that, and he looks good, the line is gonna go. It's only going down, bro. He's not going to get 200. He's not going to get plus 200.
We'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. Another thing, too, when Max lost to Volkanovski, he was at the tail end of a 4-fight stint over 12 months. Max Holloway fought 4 times in a 12-month window. After getting beat down by Dustin Poirier, it was tough. Now Max Holloway has had time to rest, to recover, to train as best as he could, even if it is through Zoom, and I think Max is going to make the adjustments towards that leg kick that he was getting hit on. I like Max a lot here with that plus money, bro.
I'm glad you said that, Mondo. You just convinced me. Because, I can't pick this fight like in a fair way. Like, I can't really just think about this completely unbiased because I'm a big Max Holloway fan. He's probably my favorite fighter in the UFC. Has been for a while. So I can't pick against the guy. I'm not going to. So I'm going with Max Holloway here. I hope he comes in with a better game plan than he did last fight and actually attempt to block some of these kicks or get around them or find a way to neutralize them. And just do you guys count like leg kicks the same as punches? Like, do you think they should have?
Hell yeah! Have you seen what an effective leg kick can do? Bro, people give up off those leg kicks.
When they do what they did to Max Holloway, as far as you can see it, impairing his movement and him switching stances due to his leg.
Yeah, you got to count it for sure.
You got to score.
That was the counter argument.
If someone hits 4 leg kicks in a round, I agree with you. But when he's chomping at that shit and it's clearly affecting the fight, you got to score it.
Yeah, for sure.
As minor as it is and like as petty.
And
Eddie.
Volkanovski, and for Volkanovski, he came in with the perfect game plan that first fight, and he fought it to a T, and he is the champion. You cannot take that away from him whatsoever. I just think I don't think he's been with City Kickboxing. He came out and said that he wasn't able to make the trip or wasn't able to train there. He's been training at a local gym where he's from, so maybe that plays a little bit of a factor in this fight. So yeah, give me Max, but I'm not putting much like analysis into it. He's just my favorite fighter. So
He
yeah,
won't be getting your money come fight night?
man, I don't know. Depending how my day's going or how my weekend's going, and I have some extra change, I'm gonna throw it on Max Holloway at plus 185, baby. I'll do that all day. Yeah.
Hell
All the
yeah.
points Armando brought
All
up,
day.
because if he wins this fight, he's not gonna be an underdog again when he's defending.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, for me, I got some insider information here.
Oh,
Let's go. Let's go.
From what I heard, all those Zoom calls were working on leg kicks, so Max gonna be ready.
There
And
we go.
that's a joke, by the way. Anyway,
That's all we.
Yeah, because the laptop can't throw leg kicks.
yeah. So anyway, man, this is a biased pick for me. The best is blessed. I'm gonna go with blessed, baby. That's what it is.
I'm pulling for him, man, but I just don't pick with my heart like these guys. I learned my lesson.
And I'm gonna put money on it this weekend too. That's that. I'm believing in the blessed. So the blessed
should
there is
put
back,
Do it. I'm
baby.
putting my money on there too.
Yeah, the
Let's
blessed
go.
there is back. Mando got
Yep.
me hyped.
All right.
Let's get
All right.
it, baby.
Well, now for the main event. The main event at welterweight division, the third title fight of the card. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, 16-1 against George Gamebred Masvidal, 35-13. The line on this one is Usman minus 280. Masvidal, the comeback, plus 220. So we know Kamaru Usman, he won that Black Zillions against ATT. Tough season. 11-0 in the UFC, man. He needs one win to tie GSP for the most wins in the welterweight division. So that's what he's looking to do with his second title defense. He has only defended the belt one time against Colby Covington, where he pretty much ran a clinic. Showed us that he has.
fight. I mean,
That was a
Bro,
good
he
fight,
broke
bro.
his jaw and knocked him out. Come on.
clinic. All right.
they
It was
were
a cl- it was-
trading.
It was a clinic.
The
All right.
rounds were
it was a clinic.
close.
All right. Let's go on.
You're just an
Considering
Usman
how-
homer, bro.
Let's just go
Considering
on,
how
dude. Let's just
Usman has no
go on. Just break
stand-up.
down the fight. Just break
Show
down
me
the
the
fight.
Usman tattoo. I know you have one.
I ain't John Anik. I ain't John Anik.
Okay.
But like we said, Usman, a great wrestler, wrestled in college. We know that's been his way to victory for most of these fights. He's used his wrestling, whether it be pinning a dude up against the cage like he did with Woodley and then taking him down. But what I'm saying against that Colby Covington fight, he definitely showed an improvement in striking. As far as being able to drop him, finish him, Colby Covington being a pretty durable guy and finishing him standing up was a surprise, I think, to most of us, because we expected to see who was going to initiate the wrestling first. I'm not saying that he can strike with George Masvidal. I clearly think that George Masvidal has the advantage here striking. He's coming in off a knockout win against Till, that flying knee knockout against Askren, and the doctor stoppage against Nate Diaz. So in his last three fights, he's shown nothing but that his striking is top notch. What I will say is none of those opponents are at Kamaru Usman's level. I love Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz is very one-dimensional and he doesn't have much power. I hate Ben Askren because Ben Askren's a wrestler and he's just not that good at it. And Damian Maia was another guy that Damian Maia beat George Masvidal. He was able to backpack George Masvidal for more than a round. I just think that Kamaru Usman is very well-rounded. He has a very good head on his shoulders, very good fight IQ. I don't think that he's going to fuck around in this fight. I think that he's going to look for the leg, look for the high crotch takedown. I think that he's going to be putting Masvidal on his back for most of the fight and working there. Now, every round does start standing up. So Masvidal, I think it's going to take a flying knee, bro, to get rid of Kamaru Usman just based on the matchup. I think that Gilbert Burns was a way worse matchup for Kamaru Usman than what this Masvidal fight is, just based on their strengths and weaknesses, man. I mean, he could just wrestle this guy for 5 rounds and win a decision, and that's the route that I'm going to take. Usman's been training for a fight. We know Masvidal, the talks fell through, and that's why Burns got the fight about 4 or 5 weeks ago. How much has he really trained? He's taking this on 7 days' notice.
He's trained.
He's having to.
He's been
having
staying
to
ready.
cut 22
He's been
pounds in
staying ready.
6 days. I know that's nothing too crazy because it's going to be a lot of water weight, but I don't think that George Masvidal can lose in this situation now. Coming in as a replacement, hey, I came in on 6 days' notice. He came out and said he didn't get the full amount of money that he wanted, but the UFC got pretty close and that the UFC called him. He didn't call the UFC. So, like we said, Friday, Gilbert Burns got pulled out because of the corona. UFC called Masvidal. They talked about it. We saw him in Covington saying, hey, we're game. And obviously, they offered the fight to Covington from what I read and heard. But Masvidal was the one that stepped up. He can't lose here, man. What are people going to say? He took the fight on 6 days' notice and lost. He's a badass. If he wins, he's a hero. He blows up the way Diaz blew up against McGregor. You take the fight on this short notice and you win. You got the BMF belt on one shoulder. You got the welterweight belt on the other shoulder. I mean, his stock would be through the roof, bro. And it would make a circus in that division as far as who the next fight would be. But I think all that's going to be stalled out. And give me Kamaru Usman with a dominant decision win.
Yeah, I like Masvidal. He's another one of my favorite fighters. I've liked watching for a little while, especially on his last little run that he's been on. And, Ben hit on all the key points. And, the last point on Masvidal that he hit on that I do agree with is it's a win-win situation for him. He got paid and, he's coming in on short notice. So if he does lose, it's not going to be that big of a hit out on him unless he just goes out and gets starched or dominated or something. Then it might look bad and that BMF belt might not look so good. But, everything that he's doing up until this point, it's been perfect.
He's been playing his cards right.
Playing his cards right to the T, knows exactly what he's doing. I don't like myself for what I'm about to say, but I have to go with Usman here. I have to. I think for what Ben said, just the style of fight that he's going to fight presents some problems for Masvidal. I think he does have a strong fighter IQ. I think the only chance that he gives Masvidal is if for some reason he starts off a round just saying, hey, let's start throwing or something, which could happen because emotions get in the way of things. But I will say that would be more apt to happen if there was a crowd. There's no crowd, and I think the crowd would play a very big factor. It would play a big factor for Masvidal, huge factor for Masvidal. The crowd's there, I think. So that's another reason why I'm going to go against my heart here, even though I went with my heart with Holloway. I'm going Kamaru Usman here, and I think he's going to dominate. I think he wants to be a champion. He has that championship mindset. I hear it in all of his interviews, even though I don't like him. He just has a championship attitude about him, a guy who wants to be the gold standard, and he's going to do what it takes to stay up there. So, yeah, give me Usman.
Hey, Roland, and real quick, good thing that Masvidal is getting his title shot, but do you all really think that he is championship caliber fighter, or is he just not as well-rounded as these guys that we speak of as champions, the guys that it kind of takes all.
Don't we always talk about it though? It's a matchup game, man. I just don't think this is a good matchup for Masvidal. It's just what it comes down to for me. I think if this were maybe against Covington, I think I might take Masvidal because I don't think Covington's as strong of a wrestler or whatever, as strong of a
Usman
force
is going to be the bigger
Usman.
guy.
A bigger guy, exactly. So it's all matchup based for me. I think Masvidal, depending on the right guy, right circumstance, is a championship guy. But this is just not a good matchup for him, and on short notice too. But I will say, I think he was preparing for this fight regardless, because there was that whole negotiation thing. I think he's been in shape. He's been in camp.
And he has a big-time wrestler from Penn State traveling with him too, like Bo Nickel, I believe is his name, something like that. What do you think, Mondo? Does Masvidal stuff the takedowns or no?
I don't know, man. Y'all made some really good points on Usman. He's obviously the more well-rounded fighter here. Does Jorge stuff the takedowns? I don't know. That's going to be tough just because Usman's going to be the bigger fighter, the bigger, stronger fighter. But man, if Masvidal can... Because do y'all think Masvidal's the better striker here?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right?
I think so.
Right?
So the question just is, does he stuff the takedowns? That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Because if it's a stand-up fight, it's going to be Masvidal, and it's going to be, I think, Masvidal pretty quick, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Usman is tough, bro, but he is nowhere on the level of Masvidal as striking. We know that he
Yeah.
did leave camps and went and trained with Trevor Whitman, and he did post videos saying iron sharpens iron of him sparring with Justin Gaethje, which I think is a good look for this fight because Gaethje will take you to hell. He'll push you through the deep waters.
That's a good person
And
to
I
train
think-
with for this fight.
Yeah,
Like
I think
Masvidal.
if this does go to really deep waters, man, I think Kamaru Usman is a tough guy, but Masvidal does have the baddest motherfucker belt, and I think that he's a dog. I think he does have
He
a little
is, bro.
more dog in him than Usman, but I
Yeah.
just expect Usman to control the fight. That's where I'm at. I want to
yeah,
see
I mean-
Masvidal win, man, just because the blow up will be ridiculous. It'll
Yeah,
be
it would
Yeah.
be. It would be
I mean,
awesome.
this is street Jesus we're talking about, bro. This guy came
I
off the
like-
streets,
his hair is
came out
too
the backyard, man.
Kimbo
Hair-
Slice, baby.
His
Yeah,
hair's
rest
too
in
crazy,
peace,
man.
Kimbo.
His hair's too
You know,
crazy.
he's come off the streets, and like Ben's alluded to earlier, every round starts on the feet. So because of that, and because of Jorge's striking, along with the price that we're getting, plus 220 on somebody who can definitely knock out Usman, I'm gonna go Masvidal here. I think Masvidal is gonna concentrate not only on stuffing Usman's
Takedowns.
takedowns. Thank you. But his striking is gonna lead him to victory here. So give me Masvidal probably by decision.
Interesting. Justin, where you at?
Man, I'm thinking Friday night is gonna be a tough night for sleep because I'm gonna be excited for these fights, man. Oh man,
Are you gonna watch the fights? I know you're going on a little trip.
I'm gonna find a way.
Justin's the king of the streams, the links for the streams. Shit.
Hey, don't put that out in public, man. He's gonna have
Yeah.
some people looking at him now.
Hey,
this
he's
is-
our plug, not y'all's.
He
This
just-
this
he
is
just snitched
tough,
on
bro,
you.
because man, I love me some Masvidal, man. Big fan. But in reality, if I'm putting my money and I'm really thinking for the contest, I gotta go Usman. The dude is not emotional when he fights. Look at Kobe; he knew what to do with him, and he did it. Woodley, the domination there. And I hate saying this because I really want Masvidal, but man, it's Usman. If Usman's
You
gonna
think
win here-
you think Masvidal can talk Usman into
Nah.
Usman into like a
He's not
phone booth?
emotional. The kid is.
Nah, I was
Nah,
trying
the
to
kid
think
is
about that too.
disciplined.
Especially without there being a
Discipline.
crowd. Like you could hear each
Yeah.
other talk
But
so
that's
clearly.
the thing, Mondo. If he just takes him down and holds him down, ain't nobody gonna be booing him. And even if they were, I don't think
Yeah,
he
yeah.
cares. I don't think he
Exactly.
cares.
go
But
get
the
the
dude's
dub.
too smart, bro. And it's
Yeah.
crazy how they really don't like each other, man. A lot of this build-up,
Yeah.
like, where
Yeah.
did it come from? Damn.
Super Bowl, man, when they ran into
That's
each
just
other
how
in front of the
Bowl.
Masvidal is, though. That's how he gets into your head.
But he's shown a lot of respect to Nate even after beating him, and like even throughout the build-up with Nate, he just really doesn't like this dude.
Well,
I think it
Nate's
was a
also
Super Bowl
tweeted in his
thing.
favor and
Yeah.
stuff, and said good things about the fight, and so there's that camaraderie or whatever there between Nate and Masvidal. Man,
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
myself for not picking Masvidal, but I got to get up in these rankings, bro. And golly, it is what it is, man.
You took Usman. Oh, and I didn't. Were we all picking the method of victory also?
We have to, yeah.
On the
So I'm
fifth,
saying
so,
Usman by decision.
Yeah, I got
Usman
Usman
died
by decision.
And I
No way
want
he knocks
Masvidal
out
by decision.
Masvidal or anything.
Masvidal by decision. All right. Well, Mondo, I know that you're a guest picker on today's podcast, but I'm sorry that you're on the other side of us, pal. But we have a little consensus parlay, and we're going Rose Namajunas and Kamara Usman at minus 112 for the podcast. So I know that we didn't
And
have
that's not a bad parlay at all. You know, I can definitely get behind that as far as putting my money on it. You know,
because you might be
y'all have
rooting
my
for,
support on
you
that.
might be rooting for Masvidal, but you
Mhm.
understand that even the decision, I think, is just going to be based on cardio, bro, and him not having the full camp. I just don't think that he has 5 rounds in him to win a decision. I
Yeah.
think he's going to have to beat Kamaru Usman early, or
Yeah.
he's going to get worked. And I'm not saying worked as in physically beat up, but as in manhandled based on position. And Kamaru Usman's going to have the fight where he wants it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
That's we're gonna go with that. We didn't have a pick last week, but we look to get back on track this week with that little 2-team parlay.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I know we're at the end of this. Just mention the Bet King thing one more time. for the listeners to get a part of that, because this is a great deal for the listeners. I mean, you're talking about opportunity for free gambling money here.
Yeah. So even the people, normally everybody who tweets us on Twitter or puts it on Facebook, for the main event, just make your 5 picks like you normally do. If you want to be entered for this contest to win that $250 in free play, just put the method of victory for the main event. With putting that, you'll be entered. Like I said, Bet King, friend of the podcast, always listens to the podcast. So they know what's up. And if somebody goes 5-0 with the method right, boom, $250 in free play to mess around with.
Sure.
So shout out to Bet King for that. We appreciate it.
You can turn $250 into a lot of dollars. So hey, here's your chance, man.
It's not saying you get $250 and you go and you win automatically $250, but no, you can turn that free play money into real money by picking some winners.
Yeah.
So,
hey, real quick, after just to make it official, I'm gonna backpedal a little bit on my method of victory in Masvidal. After talking about it out loud, let me get Jorge Masvidal TKO in the second round as an official pick.
Okay.
I like
pick.
that.
Yeah.
all right. And also a quick shout out to the PVT podcast, right? Shouted us out again.
Dude, that was an honor, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ron
Ron.
Pauli.
Ron and Rock and Roll James and Fish, and shout out to them. They had a little 4th of July episode, and Roland was tweeting out golf plays, the mortgage tournament plays over the weekend.
Yep.
So they got some of the winners up on the board, and like we said, we're going to be more active with that. I know sports are getting back in the swing of things. NBA is right around the corner. MLS is right around the corner. Baseball's about to start, and we got 3 fight cards in a week. We got a Saturday card,
baby.
a Wednesday card, and a Saturday card. So
Beautiful.
We'll be back for picks on those cards too. So be
Yeah,
on the lookout
yeah.
for that, man.
we'll do that for Monday. We'll do the Wednesday and the Saturday card. But I mean, shit, if somebody goes 5-0 and gets the method right for this card, you get your $250 to play with those Wednesday and Saturday cards. You know what I mean? So
Turn that
It works
250 into
out.
500, man. Something
make
crazy.
sure to not only make your picks, but put in that method of victory for the main event, whether you think it's going to be decision, TKO, or submission.
Yeah. Hey, Mondo, it was good having you on, bro. Anything else you want to say? Something you want to plug? The mic is yours.
Y'all can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Dukes15. That's DUK3S15. You can find me on both those platforms. I just want to say thank y'all for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege
Since
to be
you
on here with
turned
you
us down
guys.
last time, bro.
Hey,
It's
it
a-
was,
Thanks,
it was
Mondo.
hard to get Mondo on,
Hey man, I'm a busy man, bro.
Thanks,
I'm a busy
thanks
man.
for the
you know.
support, dude. It's appreciated.
Nah, but yeah, man, I support y'all, and this is awesome what y'all are doing here. So it was exciting to be on here with you guys. It was a privilege and an honor. So thank you.
Dude, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro. Honestly, every time I see you share, I'm like, damn, Mondo's always repping.
Yep, exactly.
Always, man.
So that wraps up episode 12, Fight Island, right?
The Fight Island podcast.
Fight Island podcast.
Like-
Hey, man,
I'll-
excited for these fights.
For sure. I'm heading down to the valley this weekend. I'll be watching the fights over there. Justin, you're going to be on a little family
I'll
vacay.
be a little bit out of town, but maybe I might be back. We'll see. I'll be giving y'all a heads up. If
You
something
better
goes
watch
down.
the fight, Justin.
I'm
I'll
gonna
be
watch
there
it.
on
You know me. I'm
Saturday.
gonna find a way.
I'll be in the valley too, so we'll see.
Nice.
All
Should be
right.
fun.
Hey, well, that's it for us at We Talking About Sports. Again, we're available on all podcast platforms, Facebook video and YouTube video. Hey, give us a comment, give us a like, give us a share. We're always hitting for the interaction. One of us will answer. So find us there.
Hey, and real quick, I know Josh made a little YouTube comment late, right before we started. We'll get to that next episode. But Josh, listen, all the top 5 strikers can't be from La Liga, homie. All right, there's other leagues with more prestigious teams. Cause all right,
Josh, we got something for you
Lewandowski's
next week. We'll find something.
Lewandowski's number. Yeah, Josh, we're gonna get into you. We're gonna get into you, Josh, because La Liga is not the only league, brother.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.